In the last video we have created our vector database. We have simply embedded all the documents in our vector database, and every time as soon as we upload something into Google Drive they get embedded automatically. In this video we will create a RAG chatbot that will use this vector database so that we can ask our questions. But first things first, of course, these vector databases, they cannot get like enormously big. Sooner or later you need to update your workspace, so you can simply delete old stuff from the vector database in Pinecone. So please don't throw here like a gazillion files in it. And also, PDFs with pictures are not perfect. Later, more on that of course. So the first thing is of course that you need to set this to active, so make this workflow active. Only then you will get your automatic updates as soon as you insert here new documents. Then we simply press on overview once again and we create a new workflow. We simply press plus, and what I like to use right here is the AI agent node. So we simply throw in an AI agent. This AI agent has right now, of course, our chat message, and we can also press here to chat with these. And with this AI agent we need to do some things, of course. First things first, we always need a chat model. I like to use the OpenAI models. We simply connect our credentials, and I like to use GPT-4 The mini model is maybe a little bit too weak for these. So let's just use GPT-4o. And I think this will work for us. The next thing is that we need a system prompt. So we simply press on this agent, then we need to use a system prompt. This agent will also use, of course, some tools, and the tools are, of course, the vector database, so we can browse this vector database later. But let's just start with the prompt. The tools agent is the write agent. Connected chat trigger node is, of course, the source prompt. Every time as soon as we write something in this tool, it will work. We don't use a specific output, but what we need is this right here. We press on it and we want to have a system message. I like to go on expressions and make this big. And then I simply tell this agent how it should behave, of course. And I like to use like a simple one, maybe something like this. Let me include this prompt and I will show you. My system prompt looks something like this, and don't worry, I want to show you later exactly how we can write specifically really nailed down system prompts, but for now it's easy. You are an AI assistant specialized in analyzing Tesla's quarterly financial reports. This is basically the role prompting, so we simply give a small role here. And like I said, I will give you also a GPT later how you can write perfect system prompts yourself. Your primary task is to answer a question accurately and precisely using the vector database, which contains relevant documents, Q3 and Q4 reports. Only provide information that you receive from the documents or verified expert knowledge. If something is not included in the database or unclear, clearly state that you do not have sufficient information. Structure of your responses: concise and to the point, specific numbers and facts when available, clearly indicate which quarterly report, so Q3 or Q4, the information comes from. Objective: provide users with reliable and quick insights into Tesla's quarterly financial without unnecessary details. This is basically a good system prompt, so we will simply work with these. So we can close this down, and here we are back once again. The next tool that I like to include is the memory. And here we simply press plus and we use a window buffer memory. This window buffer memory is really practical because this thing will simply remember what we tell the AI agent. It will remember in this specific example for 10 messages what we talked about previously. I want to show you how this thing works without the Windows buffer memory and then with the Windows buffer memory. So let's just delete this so that I can show you. First I want to give this a name. Let's just say RAGbot Tesla. We press save. Now we press chat. Hey, my name is Arnie. Then we wait for the response. And this thing says to me, hello Arnie, how can I assist you today? And if I ask something like this right now, what is my name? This thing tells us that it does not know my name, because it is dumb, it has no memory. Now I want to show you how you can include this memory. You simply use this Windows buffer memory, and here we type in 10, so it knows for 10 messages what we talked about previously. Let's just test this out right now. We simply press chat once again, we clear this chat, reset. Hey, my name is Arnie. Then we wait for the response. Hey Arnie, how can I assist you today? What is my name? And then this thing tells me that my name is Arnie because it looks into this previous conversation. So please include this memory if this is something that is cool for you. I think it's always nice to have. Then the next thing that we absolutely need is of course tools, because we need our vector database so that the agent can browse this vector database. If we ask right now something for like Q4 of Tesla, of course it has no specific information. Like what was revenue of automotive sales in Q4, for example. This thing will either hallucinate or tells us it has no information. It tells us that it does not have information because of our system prompt, but right now we need to give it information, of course. So we need to insert our vector database, and then this thing will be a lot cooler. We press plus and we need to include the right tools. And what I like to do is to search for a vector tool, and most of the time the thing that I like the most is to use the vector store question answer tool, because we ask of course some questions and we want to have some answers. We include this tool, then we have data name, the description, and here is the limit. Before we do that, I want to close this down because we have to include of course the vector store and also the models. So we press plus. And what we want to include right now is of course the Pinecone vector store. We need to include this. And right now it's of course important that you use the right thing here. You need your API key from Pinecone. Most likely it's automatically included from the previous conversation. Then the operation mode, receive documents as vector stored of chain or tools. And here you see that you have a lot of options, but we want to receive information, of course, and then we need our Pinecone index. So we press on these and we want to have the Pinecone index that we have created previously. So it was N8N course TSLA. And if you do not remember your Pinecone index, just simply go into your Pinecone account, go into namespaces, and see for yourself how this index is named. So this thing should work. We can close this down, and now we need even more stuff. We need the embeddings models. We press plus, of course we use once again OpenAI, and we need our OpenAI API account, and also here I like to use the same embeddings model, so the text embedding 3 small model, the same model that we have already used. So right now we have this right here, and the last thing that we need to include is this right here. We press plus. We need to have of course once again an LLM model, so I like to use once again the OpenAI models, and here we should also use the same model as previously. It was of course GPT for Omni. You can also try with Mini here, and you need to connect your API credentials. Then we are connected, and this thing is of course right now only red because we do not have included of course the stuff from this node. So we can press on it and now we can give this information. We need to give this a name. Let's just say TSLA_Q. I also want to copy these and give this name up here so that we have a little bit more structured stuff here. And then the data description, this is especially important. Here we need to tell this tool when it should be called. Returns documents related to Tesla Q3 and Q4, the financials, outlook, margins, and everything important from the earnings report. You can also delete here these quarters if you include other quarters like in the future, but right now I think this is perfectly fine. So we have our Rec chatbot and I think it's ready, so we press save. You can also make this from inactive to active. Before we can test this thing out, we can also do something really cool. We can press on this vector data store once again and we add options. And what I like to do is to use also here the Pinecone namespace. And here we insert the namespace that we have in Pinecone. So we go into Pinecone, we go into namespaces, and you see TSLA N8N. We copy these and we throw it also back here into N8N. This makes sure that our application is a little bit better with especially like these financials, because this is some of the hardest stuff that we do right here. It would be of course better if we would have these documents in Markdown and so on. I will show you later how to do this, but I think for the sake of this tutorial this will be fine. Let's just see if this thing is accurate or not. So let's just save this, and now I want to test this workflow out. We simply press chat, we can make this a little bit bigger, and now we can ask something that is related to Tesla. So for example, what was total revenue in Q4 Q3, for example, and we send this out. And now hopefully our vector store gets triggered. Yes, it gets triggered, and we also get an answer back. Tesla's total revenue in Q3 was 25.2 billion. And I also have to tell this chatbot that we talk about Tesla because it already knows this because of the system prompt. So let's just check if this is right. 25.2 billion in total revenue in Q3. So we go, of course, into Q3. We can scroll down. Automotive revenue, total revenue and Q3 of 2024 was 25.182. So it's basically 25.2 billion. This chatbot was relatively accurate. Maybe we can also tell the chatbot in the system prompt that it should give the exact numbers and not round these numbers. But you absolutely see that this thing was correct. Let's make another test. What was operating cash flow in Q4 of 2024? And send this out. Vector store got searched. And this thing tells us in Q4, operating cash flow was 4.8 billion. So yes, this is here a million, but this should be 4.8 billion in operating cash flow. Let's just see if this is correct. Let's just go to the highlight summary here. We find it fast. Operating cash flow of 14.9 billion in 2024 and 4.8 billion in Q4. That's basically what this thing tells us, and this thing is also more accurate here because most likely in the financials it is broken down even more. So perfectly executed by our RAG chatbot. Let's just clear this and ask one last question. What was total automotive revenue in, let's just say, Q4 of 2024? And it tells me 19.798 billion, or if you want to call it in million, this right here. So Q4, once again, total automotive revenues, Q4, 19.798. 19.798. So congratulations, you have a RAG application that works. And I have to tell you, it is totally possible that this does not work perfectly all the time. The best thing that you can do is, of course, to don't upload too much files here, and maybe also prepare your files a little bit. Markdown would make the most sense. This is like messy data. You see that it also works with this data here, but later, of course, I want to show you how we can improve this data just a tiny bit so that our RAG application is even more precise. This would be really, really nice. And also, like, don't upload a gazillion files here and expect that all of it works, because also the context limit here is somehow not infinite. And if you go into your vector store in your namespaces or in your browser, you can always see here that you have here something from Q3, Q4 and so on, and you can always update these. You can delete specific namespaces and so on, and if you think the whole namespace is like no longer active, you can simply delete the whole namespace, throw something new in here in your Google Drive, and you will get the updates automatically all day long. And this AI agent node is of course gigantic. You can include new tools. You could also include right now, for example, the Gmail tool. Maybe you do want to have like a mail send it to you every single time that something new comes around the corner here with this quarterly results and so on. You can also include, like, let's just make it easy, a calculator. If you use, for example, a calculator tool, you can do a little bit of math with this thing. Yeah, we need to connect this, of course. So let's just connect it to these tools here. So we can also use this calculator. So if you ask right now a hard question like what is 99 times 99 times 5, and if you send this out, most likely the calculator will get triggered, and then you have, of course, the right thing here. The calculator will do the math so that you are not dependent on the math of an LLM, because the LLM is not that great in math. You can make these AI agents gigantic, but right now you have a simple RAG application. And right now you can also use this thing, of course, for other people. Everything that you have to do is to send this from inactive to active, so it has to be active. And right now you can press on this chat model. You can press here, make chat publicly available. You can press on it, and then right now you see here that this is of course our local host, so this thing is not hosted. Other people cannot access it. I want to show you later how you can host this so that other people can also access this. As soon as you copy this, You can come into your browser, you can throw it in and send it out, and then you are also here in your rec application and you can ask questions about Tesla. Hey, my name is Arnie. I can send this out. This thing will talk back to me. So do you want to know something from Tesla's quarterly results and so on? Like, no, what is my name? We can ask what's our name, because we have, of course, also everything included, just like we have here. So this is right now a standalone application, and you can also integrate this into websites, for example. You can also make this a little bit nicer, but more on this thing later, because right now you have your first rec application. So congratulations, right now you have your first application working. You have a rec chatbot, you can simply upload the data in your Google Drive folder. Your vector database in Pinecone will get updated automatically every time you upload new files. Because you have metadata, it's easy to organize your vector database, to delete old stuff and so on. But please, don't overdo it. If you do this with these financial results of companies, just upload one and test it if it works or not. Maybe later we need to prepare our data a little bit better. We need to make this into Markdown and so on, but we will do this step by step. This is your first rec application. Congratulations, right now it works. And in the next video I want to show you how we can make an email automation where we also use a vector database. So we can make these things really big, and I'll see you of course in the next video. And as soon as we talk about selling these rec applications, we will make it perfect. We need to prepare our data a little bit more. And I also want to show you how you can host these rec applications.